Right, good evening, members of the public and councillors, and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Taunton Town Council Planning Committee. I've got to go through the housework. I would like to advise everyone present that should the fire alarm sound, you should leave the building immediately via one of the fire exits, which are clearly signposted outside this committee room. Please only use the stairs, do not use the lift. If you have a problem with the stairs, please speak to a member of staff who can assist you. The fire assembly point is in the staff car park at the rear of Dean House. You should not return to the building for any reason unless you've been advised it is safe to do so. Can I remind everyone to please put your mobile phone on silent mode and keep the phone away from the microphones to minimize interference. This meeting will be recorded and live webcast, and therefore, when speaking, please remember to speak clearly into your microphone. As the chair of the meeting, I have the discretion to terminate or suspend recording and webcasting if, in my opinion, continuing to do so would prejudice the proceedings of the meeting. Recording and webcasting of confidential items will also not take place. Please remember, if you leave the meeting room for any reason, you will not be able to take part in the vote on the item being discussed at that time. Please can I request that when speaking, you make your points as succinct as possible to allow for the smooth running of the meeting. Please can I also take this opportunity to remind you to be polite and treat each other with respect at all times. For members of the public wishing to use the toilets, these can be found off the landing immediately outside the committee room. Can I request that anyone who has brought a cup or glass into the committee room, please can you return it to the kitchen area after the meeting is finished? Thank you. Get on with the rest of it. Right.
I just want to state for the benefit of everyone here that it's not being live webcast. I've managed to get the, hopefully a recording will be made that we can then upload tomorrow morning to the YouTube channel. But due to the technical issues with the Wi-Fi in this room, we haven't been able to use our OWL this evening, which we usually do, and a live stream to the YouTube. We will put a statement out on the socials so that people are aware if obviously they wanted to watch along live tonight, and hopefully we'll get it sorted in advance of tomorrow's Community Services Committee meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought there might be a few problems with the Wi-Fi today, but anyway, if it can be put out there on whatever format after the meeting, I'm perfectly happy with that. But we will still go through as we normally would. And the first thing is the running order. Apologies for absence. We've got Councillor Twos. Is there anyone else that's given apologies? I know we're missing at least 2 or 3. Anyway, no apologies from them. Declarations of interest. Does any councillor have a declaration of interest on any of the items on the agenda today? No? Right. Brilliant. Minutes. Right. I need to sign the minutes of the last committee meeting that we had on the 21st of December. Hopefully you've all read them. Are you happy that I sign them as correct? I need a proposer and a seconder, please. Proposer, seconder. Ray, thank you very much. Right, so I will sign that right now. $2024, goodness me. Do we need to vote on it? Yeah, just show of hands, we'll sign them already. Yep, okay. I didn't hear anyone saying anything against before that, so I think we're safe on that one. Right, let's go minutes. Right, Kingston St Mary neighbourhood plan, reg 6, regulation 16 consultation. Members to consider the consultation for the Kingston St Mary neighbourhood plan. Now, I don't know if anyone has seen this, read this. I know that Ray Tully's quite good on neighbourhood plans. Oh, bit blurry from me. I managed to read quite a bit of it, and I actually couldn't see any problems with it. I don't know if anyone else has got any problems with that. I think it's you know, neighbourhood plans are very difficult, and it takes a long time for them to happen. And I think they've worked so hard to get it to this point. And I am more than happy to propose that we're happy with the consultation and the you know, the work that they have done. So can I propose that we are more than happy with the consultation they put out and wish them luck? Can I have a seconder for that, please? Martin Strauss. Right, all in favour? Yes, and as I said, I wish them good luck, you know, with getting it through at the end. All right, goodness me. I'm going to have to go to my other bit of paper, wherever it is. No, thank you. Because I can't see it properly there. The writing is a little bit small. Oh. Right, so we'll move now on to the planning applications received. And the first one is 5.1, which is 38230435, which is removal of condition 8, which is delivery hours at Aldi, Chip Lane, Taunton. Now, I don't know if anyone's got any comments on this. Marcus, can you remind us what the delivery hours are at the moment, please?
I think this is to allow it to take place overnight. So I think currently they're not allowed to deliver over the night hours from 10 till 6, I think, but
Right,
just
so
double
they
check.
want 24/7.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, right. Connor, you wish to make a comment?
I'm actually going to the site actually only on Saturday. I know obviously their loading bay is on the left-hand side of the building. I still feel like, yes, from 6, I think it's 6 a.m. in the morning to 11 is a massive amount. If you can't be doing your deliveries in that amount of time, then I think statistically you're doing something wrong. I think it's something that all of these massive brands are starting to do is, you know, max out so they can just be flexible with their drivers and all of that. So in my opinion, I think, you know, I think it's just being greedy. And what's been agreed in the original plans is probably the right way with the neighbours.
Sorry, Chair. I've got an alley directly opposite where I live. Now, the only restriction they've been put on is that their reversing alarms are turned off when they reverse, because they can be heard quite a way away. There's an alarm on the back of lorries, which will bleep to warn people behind. And that's the only thing. Otherwise, you wouldn't know they were there. That's basically it. I think we should just accept it.
One thing about turning the actual bleepers off is the reason why the bleepers on is to make people aware of people behind. You know, at the end of the day, people still walk out behind that vehicle. You know, from being there quite a bit, I think, you know, 6 a.m. to 11 is absolutely fine, in my opinion.
I actually agree with Connor. If you can't do your deliveries between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. and knowing a long distance lorry driver, as I do, the lorry drivers don't have a problem with those hours. And I don't understand why it's so necessary to deliver through the middle of the night. So, you know, I just find it difficulty, and I actually agree with Connor there. And I've got Ed Furman. Okay, and forgotten your name now.
Simon, mate.
Simon.
I've just, has this been obviously this change? Has this been put into the public domain? Have we had any objections to this?
It is in the public domain because it's a planning application.
Yeah,
so
no, sorry, yeah.
okay. Are you just wondering
I'm
what
just
the
wondering what the
feedback
feedback
is?
has been, because obviously I mean,
Is
it's
have
not a
you got?
particularly populated area.
Have you? Can you do public comments,
Oh,
please?
sorry, yeah, please.
Yeah, it's okay. Marcus will bring up public comments for you. Yep. Do think of that. Do you want to make any other comments, Simon?
No, I was just, I think that I kind of agree with you guys. I think that if the initial they undertook the building of the site with the original restrictions on deliveries in place, and now it's nearly there or there, they're saying they want to change that. I think that's, you know, they knew exactly what they're doing by doing it in 2 steps, and so I think that they should have planned accordingly. And also, if there are people, I mean, I don't live anywhere near it, it's not going to affect me, but if there are people that are obviously concerned enough to go into writing, then I think that we should take that on board as representatives of those people.
I totally agree with you, and I was just reading very carefully what I could see. They may turn off their reversing beep beep beeps, but they don't turn off their refrigerated units that can be really, really noisy. And imagine that if it came at 2 o'clock in the morning and you've got this refrigerated unit, it's like a generator working in the middle of the night. And when this was passed, they were more than happy with the hours we permitted for deliveries. So why all of a sudden they've only been open? What? How long have they been open? Hardly any time at all. Now all of a sudden, they got to do deliveries in the middle of the night. Well, I can't see any evidence that that is absolutely necessary. So I'm totally against it. And Ray Tully, you want to come back?
Sorry, Chair. The first thing I should have said is that my son is an operations manager for them. I forgot.
Declaring an interest.
It is an interest. But can I say the problem they have? They run out of Cardiff, no, Swansea. They run out. Their lorries come out of Swansea, and they take less than an hour to unload. You don't hear the noise from them. But in view of my position, and maybe I shouldn't vote on it.
I think it might be a slight conflict of interest there. But all right, the engine's not running, but the refrigeration units are. Right, so Ed?
Thank you. Yes, I'm in agreement as well that this probably isn't a good idea. I used to work in the Norton Co-op, and they had, you know, their deliveries in the normal trading day hours. Obviously, it's not as big, but you know, I still think it is possible for a shop that size to stock themselves within, you know, day deliveries. So I'd like to, you know, put on a formal objection proposal for this application, and, you know, the variation of the times.
Apologies, Chair. Could you just confirm the hours they are permitted to unload at the moment? I think that's plenty. because the traffic isn't busy at 6 o'clock and it's not busy in the evening hours. It's not as if they're restricted to 9 to 5. So I would personally be in favour of not permitting this amendment.
So you would like to second Ed? Because he's already said that he proposes, yeah. And not only that, the shop's not open till 8 and it closes at 10. Yeah, and I don't know if you've ever gone into some of the supermarkets after 9 p.m. There's hardly anyone there. So, you know, it's why do they need to do all the deliveries? Because it's nice and quiet. Then they can get in without too much traffic there and too much parking. So we've got a proposer, right? Marcus, we've got a proposer, Ed, for against, so yeah, and a seconder, Martin Strauss. We need a vote. All those in favour of going against the application. And I will note that Ray Tully didn't vote because he may have a conflict of interest, yes. And thank you for that, Ray, for pointing that out.
Thank you for that, Chair. Just in terms of submitting the objection back to Somerset Council, can I just confirm that the reasoning was that the existing times in the existing condition are felt to be sufficient, and there were concerns around noise and light pollution? Yep.
And the noise being by the refrigerated units more than anything. And plus, when they're reversing in the night, you can hear the engines. So it's you know, just because they turn the reversing bleeps off doesn't mean it's going to be quieter. Thank you. Right, we'll move on now to, right, this is an outline planning application with all matters reserved, which is 5.2, which is 08190035. Now, this is a erection of up to 112 dwellings on public open space, landscaping and sustainable drainage, and vehicular access point of Cheddon Road. Now, this is a resubmission. This was originally turned down by Somerset Western Taunton Planning Committee when they had the powers to say yay or nay. Now, I know this site quite well. It's up the road from me. I've nothing else, but I am still against this. I spoke against it originally. I don't know if you've managed to see the reasons why we turned it down. I think it was sent to you. And it just seems that they're going to reduce the number of houses. Marcus, can you just remind me of how many houses they want to do now?
It's 112, I think.
112. I
original
think
was
they've
180.
reduced it for a few. They've not done anything else to change the reasons that we turned it down, other than reduce the number of houses. And I personally think that just reducing the number of houses isn't going to change all the problems and issues around it. You know, it's like, oh, we built a few, and I think that there was supposed to not been any more than, I can't remember how many houses, and now they want to do 112. I don't know if any of you know this area or have looked at the site, but I just cannot understand why they think just reducing the number of houses can mitigate all the rest of the problems that are there. Oh, Ed, I'm glad you can see it because I can't see it. Glad you can spot that. If you can show a site plan, that would be very good. I mean, this particular area is very well known for people in North Taunton that use that road it's a busy road. It's very narrow. There's a dangerous, well, the corner's not dangerous, but driving it is. And it's just, and there's a wonderful hedgerow there, absolutely brilliant hedgerow. And they just want to chop a big chunk out of it. Now, next to the site, there's a road called Gypsy Lane. It's really overgrown. They don't call it Gypsy Lane now. They call it Dog something. That's it, Pussycat Lane. They call it Dog something Lane now, which is all overgrown. But even that, I think if they use that as an access, I think even that on that bend, that very narrow corner is going to be extremely dangerous. And I'll never agree with them chopping it down that big bit of hedgerow. There we are. If you can just go up a bit so that we can just see where the access is. That's it, where that arrow is. Now, right opposite that is a lay-by for the housing along there, because a lot of them have not got off-street parking. And Pussycat Lane is to the left where all those trees are. And that's where they want to stick in 112 houses. I'm sorry, I'm quite passionately against this. Right, Marcus?
Yes, no, looking at the, and knowing the roads that where it does spin round quite narrowly, and it, such a tight squeeze, I just don't think there's going to be enough room for, what looks to be quite a busy estate with, over 100 houses. I just don't think it's viable for, a lot of people who will probably be commuting into town or, elsewhere.
No, originally they came in with a very small number of houses, but I still think it's on the wrong stretch of road for egress and access. So I think no matter how many houses they want to put in there, it is not going to be good for that road. It's dangerous. You come down, say, come down to the left, and that narrow bit and round that corner, it's almost a blind bend, and it goes uphill, so you can't actually see people properly. And also when you come up to the other end on the right, if you're driving up to Hestercombe, you've got people coming down there. You've got all of the residents at Farmview around that area. That road is busy. People, think, oh, it just goes out there into the country. No, these people that live there use that road, and it's quite scary sometimes. So I propose that we totally are against it. Word it properly for me. I'm totally against it. If I can have a seconder for that, I'd be happy. Yep, Connor. And we need to vote on it. So all those in favour, against the application, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, thank you, Chair. And just in terms of confirming the planning reasons, so safety concerns around traffic movements on the narrow road network. Was there anything
And
else?
can you add in, because looking at the reasons why it was refused last time, from the planning committee, if you can add in these, because it doesn't provide any provision for pedestrians. It doesn't adhere to the local plan. Traffic impact and congestion, environmental impact on surrounding wildlife, impact on heritage sites, which there is, loss of agricultural land, access issues, concerns that Cheddar Road would turn into a rat run, substandard road width for this amount of housing, bolt-on development, site was outside of the settlement limits and lack of public transport. So can all of those things be added on, please? Because they're all relevant, even though they reduce the number of houses. Are you all happy for that to be added on to our reasons, please?
Should I say something like that the current application hasn't mitigated the
Our reasons
The
for putting it down last
turned down
time, there's no
4 years
mitigation
ago?
whatsoever. Yep. Yep. Yeah, and it is contrary to policy CP8 of the core strategy and policy SB1 of the site allocations and development management plan. So if all of that could be put in, please, that'd be brilliant.
Thank you, Chair. I think Ched and Fitzpaine picked up on the CPA point as
Yeah,
well.
and there is comments from Ched and Fitzpaine as well. Yep. Okay,
thank
you
you.
done with that one? Right. We should be doing 5.3, but we're going to do 5.4 first because 5.3 is listed building, but we need to make a decision on 5.4 first before we give listed building, because there's no point in doing that before we've decided if we allow it. Because if you turn down the application, then you have to turn down the listed building consent. It's no point in doing it the other way around. It's the wrong way around. So we're going to do 5.4, which is 3823-0425, which is replacement roof at Haynesford Hill. And this is because it's a listed building. So can we just have a quick look at the site, please, Marcus, if you'd be so kind? Yeah, okay. That's what listed buildings. Called. Connor, did you want to come in a second?
So looking at the roof, I think what they're doing is taking all the original slates off, putting new slates on or very similar. There's a flat roof at the back that it looks very, very old, and I think they're going to be retaining it to obviously listed materials as such. But yeah, putting 2 new skylights in. But really, at the end of the day, these properties. They've been around for such a long time, they need an upgrade sometimes, but it's good that if we can keep the same materials and make it still look the same, I can't see any issues.
I've forgotten what the officer's title would be, to do with listed buildings, because I'd like to know their comments on it, if possible.
Doesn't appear to be any on the listed building application for this one. There doesn't appear to be any comments yet from the listed buildings officer or heritage officers or anything in terms of yet anyway.
Okay, but I totally agree with what Connor has just said, does anyone else wish to make a comment? Because some of these buildings do need an upgrade, but it needs to be done, properly. So Connor,
Yeah, I was just
Simon?
going to say, as long, I mean, if the roof needs fixing, and as long as they're sympathetic, I've got no problem at all, as long as it's done, they're not replacing slates with sort of brand new tiles or something, then.
One thing I would like to note, on the application, I think it'd be, pretty good, is no plastic to be used. Because for some reason, about 10, 15 years ago, there was a massive boom in plastics on really old properties, and I come beyond it daily, and it's just murder, really.
Yeah, that is a good comment that I think needs to be added. So Connor, you're going to propose that we're happy with it? So I've got a seconder, which is Simon. Right, all those in agreement, please show. That's unanimous. Right, so now we've agreed with permission for that. We need to now go back to the listed building consent. So we've seen the application and everything. So do I have a proposal and a seconder for the listed building consent, please? Which is Connor and Simon. All those in favour? Right, thank you very much. Right, we'll move on now. This is 5.5, which is 3823-0433, which is a variation of condition approved plans of the UK Hydrographic Office, Admiralty Way, Taunton. I didn't manage to see what this is. Did you, Connor?
Yeah.
Manage to have a look at it?
So what they're doing, they are actually, I think they're making a bigger section of one of the buildings, but they're actually increasing their. What I've noted that I don't see any issues with this. I don't see any issue. No, they're adding solar panels. That's what it was. The added addition solar panels. But a little sad here and see the loss of 13 trees. Is there any change of moving these to somewhere instead of planting more trees? Moving them somewhere instead of planting more trees. I understand an increase of soft landscaping, but a loss of trees is sad. Yes, that's the only thing I said. If we, instead of putting like, a wild meadow area, we could, put trees in instead that are quite mature, preferably.
Both.
Yeah, or both, yes.
Can you just show me the actual plan again of exactly which building it is and where they want to get rid of trees? I must admit, I worked down there about 40 years ago for 9 months. Yes, just the actual plans of the site, so we can pick out where it is and where they want to chop the trees down. I'm just wondering if it's opposite what used to be the main building. Ah, right. I understand that. Right. Right, okay. Yep. Yeah, I understand that and where it is. Right, I actually agree with what Connor was saying, and I think the landscaping officer, Connor.
Yeah, I think there is a landscape officer.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I don't like it when they chop down trees. There's a lot of lovely mature trees down there. I don't see why they can't dig them up and move them into the new landscaping. And I think a wildflower meadow as well. There's no reason why they can't do both. So, I've got to think about the protection of trees. Pity they weren't TPO'd, but I personally would like to see them with the trees, the mature trees they have got, is to dig them up and replant. I mean, it's not impossible. And if they do if they put replacement trees in for ones that are lost, I think they ought to be semi-mature, not silly little whips with a plastic tube around them. They need to be semi-established. And a wildflower meadow as well. It's not impossible. There's plenty of land down there to do that. And I'm sure they'll have some people help them sort that out that actually work down there that are into this sort of thing. So, right, do you want to propose and make comments, Connor? On you're going to be chair.
Yeah, so
And whatever we.
yeah, so I'd propose to I think on the comments that if we could possibly include the wild meadowflower, like they said, but also possibly move the trees to a better position instead of getting rid of them. I think it's probably the best thing. Yeah.
And if they can't move any of them, to put in semi-mature trees, not whips. I'll second that. Right, all those in favour, please show. Okay, I think that's unanimous. Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
And thanks. So that's just submitting comments, not supporting or objecting, just those comments to,
Yes.
yeah, go back to them. Yeah.
Move on now to 5.6, which is 3823-0441, erection of a porch lobby to the front of 12 Parkfield Road, Taunton. So I think it's just a plan that we need to see on this one. Right, so that's the plans. They want to, sorry, they want a porch and lobby to the front, which personally I've not got a problem with, because a porch and lobby, a lobby's handy and a porch helps keep the heat in your house. So I don't know if anyone else has got any comments on this. Anyone have any comments on it? Oh, Martin? No, you're happy with it?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm happy.
right.
I think it actually improves the aesthetic of the exterior. to be
Yes,
honest.
and it's not going to stand out or look different from anything because they're all different up there. So I propose that we're happy with the application. Do I have a seconder? Simon, thank you. All those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, we'll move on to this. This is installation of, oh, sorry, I will read out the number. 3824-0001 stroke CJ. It's prior approval for installation of solar voltaic equipment to the roof of first Somerset and Avon, Hamilton Road. And I guess this is the bus station down there, am I right, Connor? Yeah, yeah. So they're looking at going green. So I think that's pretty good. Anyone got any comments on this? Oh, Martin?
It's just an observation. First have given up their contract, so it won't be first there in that building, as far as I can see. It's quite interesting, but it's next door to where I live and I haven't got any objection.
And it is to go there and it is to go on the building. So it's one of those things, doesn't matter who owns it.
Yeah,
It's
right.
just whether you approve of it
Indeed.
happening.
yeah.
It could be owned by anyone, change hands time and time again, but it's whether you agree with that actually happening on that building.
I
Because
haven't
it's-
got a problem,
yeah,
personally.
because it's the building you're giving it to, not
Yeah.
really the company.
Okay.
So Connor?
Like what happened about 10 years ago when people were, when people were buying and selling the house, they'd put solar panels on the roof and sell the house, but not including the roof. And they just gain off the electric solar panels. So
I don't think that's something we should be concerned with on this. Perhaps we should be, but we're not allowed. Anyway, I'm more than happy to propose that we, you know, and Martin, yeah, you'll second it. So all those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, here we are. 5/8. Now this is 3823 0352. It's the formation of a drop curb to allow access to the drive at 88 Garmington Road, Taunton. Oh, it's been withdrawn, has it? Oh, I've been updated very pretty well. Whoa. Right, hey, we can forget that one then. Let's move over to the next page. Right, 5.9, which is 3823 0437, change of use from B1 to Class E, a women's gym, to erect a bike rack and display of signage at 1 Millstream Business Park, Castle Street, Taunton. And one question, the signage, is that non-illuminated, please? It would say if it was, no, I think that's just big signs stuck on the outside, isn't it?
I think it'd be in the description of the application if it was illuminated signage.
Has anyone else got any comments to make? No? Well, I propose that it's okay. And I've got a seconder in corner. All those in favour? It's nice to see a business startup because down there I noticed there was a couple of empty units. So I think that'd be really good. Right, this one.
So that's all in favour of supporting that.
Yeah, favour of
That's good.
supporting it. Yep. Right. This is 38240007 CMA. Application determine if prior approval is required for change of use of conversion from commercial business and service use, Class E, into 4 dwellings, Class C3 at Bedford House, Park Street, Taunton. I must admit, I smiled at this because it is a commercial building and it is a change of use for people to live in it. I don't know if anyone knows this building of old. It was a white elephant for donkey's years until Debenhams took it over and it was their main head office. Because when Debenhams, I actually worked there for a year. That was a long time ago. I think I must have been about 20. But I cannot see in this economic climate that that building will ever be used for offices again. It's huge inside. And I think there is a potential for 4 dwellings. They've got parking at the back, so there's not a parking issue. And they've already got in and out for vehicles. And it would be nice for it to be used as something. And I think if it's going to be flats, apartments, and it's right near the town centre, I don't have a problem. Ed,
Going on the fact you're saying that it is, quite a massive building, I'm wondering why they're only going for 4 dwellings.
I think they're only going for half of it because you've got one side. Can you bring that?
I think this is an additional,
Yeah, but as I said, I've actually not got a problem with it because it would turn into a massive white elephant again, and goodness knows how many years, because it was donkey. I don't know how many years it was that it was built, and nobody wanted it.
It's been empty a while, hasn't it? Ed, I think to answer your question, I think there was 69 and they're increasing it by a further 4. So it's something like 70 something now. I mean, my only query would be, you say there's ample parking, but is there enough parking for like 74 parking spaces, or is that not necessary? 37.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Curve
but
10,
just remember how close it is to the town centre.
No, I agree. I'm just,
Mm.
having lived in modern developments and quite compact spaces, parking becomes a real issue if you don't have enough parking for the residents and for them potential visitors.
Well, there is the option for, option for visitors, because there is the car park behind. There is a public car park behind, so it's not as though there's no parking other than there. And you find with a lot of these developments that are around that area, they've got restricted parking, but if they have visitors, they tend to park in the public car parks. So, I think it's just something we need to be realistic about. That is never, ever going to be offices. Never. So would you like to see it go to rack and ruin, pulled down, and then goodness knows what
No,
will
but
be
the
built there?
point is they're already building 69, so it's going to be populated.
Yeah,
It's just, is the other 4 just a bit of a land grab and just, shoehorning in inadequately sized properties to coin some more profits, or is it actually going to be valid living space for human beings? That's
I
really-
I think that's a very fair comment. And Marcus, can that comment be passed on, please? It doesn't mean that we actually approve of it. I think it's just a comments that I feel we're making, rather than saying whether we agree with it or not. It's comments and concerns, and I think that's a very valid concern, Simon. And as you said, it's already got permission for so many. Yeah. Yep, oh, that happens everywhere, doesn't it? Especially up somewhere where I live. Yeah, but so it's just literally comments from us?
Yeah, I mean, it does say in the supporting statement that the standard is met in terms of the nationally described space standards of 50 square meters.
Yeah,
But
it's-
I
it's-
can add it as a comment.
yeah, it's still a concern and a comment. I think it's very valid what Simon said. Yeah. Okay, so that's the comments and concerns that Simon has come up with. I'm happy to second that. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Right, 511, 38,
Sorry,
20.
before we just, did you want me to also note that you felt parking wasn't an issue on this particular?
I don't think
No.
so because of where it is and because of the public parking behind. So, and also you can actually park for free after a certain time and till a certain time in the morning. So, you know, I think there's a fallback there. Okay. Right, so we move on now, which is 3824-0002 and it's a display of a one illuminated halo fascia sign and two internally illuminated roundels to fascia at 20 Bridge Street. And I couldn't place this. I had a look on my phone. I couldn't actually find Bridge Street. Well, this place in Bridge Street, number 20. So if you can point me in the right direction. I can't, sorry, I can't read that. Can you tell me what it says? I think my brain had gone then. Sorry, yeah.
May I ask, Chair, what's the definition of a halo fascia sign? Okay. I see, okay, thank you.
Sorry,
I
but
think it's one like this.
I don't know. Looking at the picture though, the sign looks exactly like
Yeah.
the sign that's already there. I can't discern any difference at all. I assume, is it more lit or I don't know.
Is it a renewal of it?
Unless Halo is above.
So halo can be just above your head and it can be flat, curved or straight. Is that what it means? So the halo is above your head when you go in. I think that's what it must be. It's not a halo like this, like I was doing hand signals. It's one like that, which will go whoop. Does it make you look better when you walk in?
Bit like that. That's a halo fascia sign.
Ah, right. Oh, I'm more than happy with that. Yeah. I just said, does it make you look better when you walk in? You know, walking is an angel. There's an angel coming into the.
Go in. Then you come out.
Anyway, for the members of the public that might be watching, Marcus has just found what they look like and has shown the members of the committee what it looks like. So we all understand properly now what it looks like. And I propose we have not got a problem with it. We support it. Seconder? Yeah, plenty of seconders. All in favour? There we are. And you'll have halos when you walk out now. Right, now then. We're moving on now to public right of way, which is T 33, 37. To consider making a request of Somerset Council to, at a minimum, remove and potentially replace the historic bollards from the start of the public right of way, which is T 33, 37, off the A38 Mary Street, Taunton, with a modern accessible barrier that allows all park users to use the footpath. That is, to me, brilliant. It's number 2. If Somerset Council are unable to carry out the works due to cost implications at this time, request a quotation to enable the town council to consider commissioning the works, and that means paying for it as well. Appendix A, letters written to predecessor councillors and authority in 2019 and 2021 by a local resident. Now, I don't know exactly where this is, and it's like the bars that used to do tippy tails over when I was a kid that were on these footpaths. And yes, it is very restrictive. You know where it is? We're going down the back of the park where the ducks are. It is very narrow. Something does need to be done, which I totally agree. Because when I worked at County Hall, I'd have me packed lunch and I'd go there and sit by the slight waterfall and the ducks and everything. And it always was difficult. And, you know, people with large pushchairs, with wheelchairs, it is difficult for them. Easy for a bike because you can wiggle it around it. But I do agree. Now, it does need to be done, and it needs to be done fairly quickly. What I am concerned with is the implication, especially with budgetary restrictions that we've got, not just the county council, Taunton Town Council hasn't been going for a year yet. And I know that there's going to be a lot of budgetary concerns in the next couple of months for the town council as well. And it's like, well, if they don't want to do it, well, you can do it. I think it should be working together rather than, you know, oh, we can't do it, so you'll have to do it. If you can't do it, nothing will be done. And I think, to me, that is not the way things should work. It should work in partnership. It ain't going to work in partnership, but that is my concerns, is that all of a sudden the town council will get lumbered with the costs. And as they haven't been going for a year and they don't know exactly how the budget ends up finishes or what it's going to be like for next year, it may not get done. I think there's some partnership working needed doing here. What about Sustrans? Oh, sorry. Right, I'll bring Marcus in first.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I can't seem to get the report. I don't think it's in the reports pack, so I will add it to the website after the meeting, but you should have been sent a copy via email. Anyway, I was just going to give a brief introduction, if that's all right. This comes from a request by Councillor Garside, who's been written to by a resident, and I think the resident wrote to Councillor Weddicott back in 2019, who was the ward councillor for Wilton and Sherford back then. Basically, in that resident in their wheelchair, they have to go the long way round to get into the park or to go shopping. They can't navigate that because of the nature of where they're placed. It's actually a public right of way listed on the network. So in terms of this could be considered beneficial in promoting active travel for residents and allowing them to get out and about. I've checked, they're not listed in any way, these bollards, because sometimes things like structures like that can be listed, but they're not. And in terms of, yeah, as I say, it may be that Somerset Council ask for a contribution or able to quote for the works, and then we'd obviously have to bring back a report to to identify where in our budgets that would be coming from to support that if you so wish, but thank you.
Thank you for that. Martin, I'll let you come in first and then I'll.
Yes, I just want to play devil's advocate here. I'm a user of a mobility scooter and I have actually just about managed to squeeze past the bollards there. But the question I want to ask is why were the bollards put there in the first place? Was there an abuse of the lane by larger vehicles, or was there a reason why they decided to restrict the access? Was it motorbikes or somebody using that access? Because they can't have been put there just for the sake of it. I'm just concerned about consequences.
Right, can I just go back to when I was a child? Every access footpath, when you went somewhere, you would go behind the park and go up through, to where Bishop Fox's school is now. Every footpath like that in the town had those barriers. They've been there for donkey's years. And I mean donkey's years. I never remember them in my 70 odd years not being there. And other ones have gradually been moved or updated. So they were put there because I don't know, it's just been there for donkey's years. And the ones with two with the knobbly bits on the end, we used to do tippy tails over them before we walked up and down the path. So they have been there for a long, long time. I don't know why they were put in there in the first place. Perhaps it was to denote that it was a footpath. It could have been that reason, but I mean, I don't ever remember them not being there. But I do remember lots being removed in different places. Now, Simon, you wanted to come in. Sorry about that.
No, I was just wondering, is there a requirement, because that path leads out onto a main road, is there a requirement to replace them with something that stops you going straight out into the street if you are a cyclist? Or, I mean, they're not going to stop a child running in the road, but is that the request, or is it purely removal? That was my question.
I thought I read somewhere that there was some sort of replacement that there is. Have you got it there, Marcus? Of some sort of replacement, isn't it?
Yes, so the recommendation does say and potentially replace with a modern accessible barrier.
So it could be like they've got near the green where I live, where it used to be open, and they put these staggered fit. It's not very good, but I can imagine that there is someone who's got some brains, could do a good design so it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb, that could actually make that accessible, because some people have got wheelchairs that are quite large, which is very. Yeah, Gemma's is extremely large. I doubt if she'd be able to get down through there too. No, she'd have to duck as well. So no, I do agree, something needs to be done, but I wouldn't like them to just be dumped somewhere. I'd like something to be done with them, because they're solid, they're cast iron. And it'd be such a shame because we lose all of these things. Oh, sorry, Connor, you.
Well, I was actually just going to say, unless somebody actually they came to they were purchased or put in a better, be reused or something, the actual weight of them for scrap would actually easily pay for new rails, because of the value of scrap so high at the moment.
Especially them, you take about 3 people to lift them. Right, so Ed.
On that point, I'm thinking if there's a local artist or something, you can somehow weld them and sculpt them into something.
Would be absolutely brilliant, and then he could sell it and on our behalf and pay for it. But I think you're right. There is a lot of value in scrap metal of all types at the moment. So I agree it needs to be replaced, but I think the cost personally, the cost implications need looking at. The cost implications for the town council when we've not even been going a year. We still got what, 3 months before we know exactly how it's worked properly. And before that, we have to do a budget for next year. So, you know, I think the cost implications is the main thing. I do agree, do need replacing, and it needs to be aesthetically friendly. But I'd like to see more of, a bit more of what they're looking at replacing it with. Martin,
I'd just like to propose that we ask for a quote for the cost of removal in the first instance. What we put in its place is then another matter, but at least removing the structure as it is at the moment, how much would it actually cost? I don't think it would cost anything to get the quote. Maybe ask 3 local contractors.
I think removing it is going to be the cheapest part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
implication of what's going to go in
Exactly.
its place. So I think we could really do with an estimate of
Yeah.
some sort of quote of how much it would cost to replace it and with what. So it needs to cover the whole lot, not just one bit, but the whole lot.
And
And
Chair,
to look at what to do with those when they're taken out. We don't just want them dumped as a load of old scrap. Because they've been there for donkey's years. I'm sure somebody will know. Right, I'll pull in Ed and then you, Martin.
okay.
With the quote, that's the point 2 with the request. You know, if some are unable to get it out, request a quotation to enable the town council to consider the work. So it doesn't mean that we're going to do it absolutely, it's just saying about getting a quote.
Because we need to, sorry, we need to do the 2 bits on this. Whether we agree with the first bit and then agree with the second bit. Martin,
I'd just like to suggest that we look at other areas in the town already and what sort of barriers are already there to give us an idea of what we might want to put here. There might be a much simpler barrier. I mean, there are quite a few in the town.
and also, you know, where they've replaced ones like these. 'Cause
Absolutely.
a lot of them have been replaced over the years. I just hope they get records because they really ought to. Simon,
I was going to say, whilst I appreciate the going to the point about the cost and whether or not the town council will do this or not, I think that part of me thinks that we're a town council that's here to make the town better. This makes the town better, so perhaps we ought to do it. And also, is just a general question: is this the size of jobs that we're employing town wardens to actually do? So no, seriously though, because it's like probably a 1-day job. What you're cutting these things out of the floor and you're nailing 2 new ones to the floor, and it's an instant identification that we're actually doing things that we've been put here to do. So I don't have a problem. Obviously they're I appreciate their role, but they're clearly not fit for purpose anymore. So they've got to go. And actually, is this precisely the sort of quick turnaround job we can do and say, right, we did that?
but I think the other thing is it's the costing that we need. We do need the costing because, you know, it would be fabulous to do it because, you know, it is the Taunton Town Council. And as you said, this is sort of things we do. Could I bring Ed in?
Yes, on that, I'd like to formally propose that we do take up these recommendations.
Seconded by Martin. All those in favour? Right,
That's correct.
okay.
Just in terms of the suggestion that perhaps the town warden, obviously the recommendation says if Somerset are unable to carry out the work due to cost implications, quote will be, could we potentially just add in some wording there around, and we will explore whether that's within the range of capabilities of the town warden to do because then that would obviously not come at a cost to.
Yeah, because
Yeah, absolutely. There's a good bit of wording, Marcus. Thank you for that.
yeah, because I just think it's this size of job that are very visible, and it shows people we're taking steps in the right direction. And I expect it costs a lot more than I think it does, but you know, it's just the right thing to do.
To taking out, I think that'll cost some money. If you realise how, we'll look at when they take out post boxes, do you realise how much is under the ground? And these type of things are very similar Ray Tully.
Thank you, Chair. So they're making me laugh. West Monkton, and I've tried to avoid doing this, but West Monkton Parish Council, the Lensman puts all the kissing gates in. The council buy them and our Lensman puts them in. Everything, every one of them is done. So it is a thing for the warden. Thank you.
Well, I don't really think that's the right place for a kissing gate, but it would be nice. Or similar. Yeah. Oh, that would be quite romantic, wouldn't it? To walking down there on a dark night, things and kissing gate. Oh, shut up, Marcia. Right. Okay, we've had a proposal with a seconder and Marcus with that extra bit of wording. Are you all happy with that? Please show.
Yeah.
Yes, that's unanimous. Thank you. Right. Parking restrictions, Wilton Grove. So they're writing to Somerset Council to request additional parking restrictions at Wilton Grove. I don't understand where this has come from, Marcus. Can you explain, please?
Yeah, happy to, Chair. So this is another request from Councillor Garside. So she's been contacted by 3 constituents in her ward to raise the issue of parking on Wilton Grove. It's believed that due to its proximity to the town centre, people are parking there to avoid car park charges. The junction between Troll Road and Wilton Grove is considered potentially hazardous because the turn is sharp and people often don't see the cars parked on Wilton Grove at first. It is understood there have been quite a few near misses. The request to Somerset, Councillor Garside originally made as councillor resident, and they came back and said, we won't look at this at all unless your local town council agrees that it is an issue and makes a request as the town council. So that's why it's come to you as the Planning, Development and Transport Committee tonight. The alternative was to request a parking restriction sign, such as that which exists on the adjoining Wilton Close. So the report contains the response from Somerset to Vanessa, saying that essentially. And in terms of risk assessment, I've said there's low risks, but in terms of the Somersets, they have to conduct a statutory process once we submit a request to them. And let me just see what that says. Includes advertising in papers, dealing with objections, and then making a traffic regulation order. But as you say, there's obviously been I think Vanessa said there's been 3 residents that have contacted her about this issue. Obviously, if approved, a letter will be sent to Somerset Council in the name of the clerk on behalf of the council as soon as possible. There has been some correspondence this week, if I can quickly just, because I did have some contact from Councillor Dawn Johnson, Councillor Farberhigh at the Unitary. And they said, we've been trying to get some yellow lines in places where dangerous parking takes place in Galmington and Sherford, particularly around some key junctions. The County Council have said they've no funds to do this work at the current time. But so I went back to Dawn and basically said, oh, funnily enough, we've got a report about asking for additional lining on the agenda, but I wasn't aware that there was a funding issue there as well. So I asked if Somerset have advised of the cost and said it would be better if we could capture all of the requests to save making multiple traffic regulation orders. And I said, spoken to the clerk, and this year we had our budget set for us by Somerset County Council. I'm sure you'll have seen next year's budget. There is an amount for devolution services contingency of potentially 300,000. But contributions towards the making of traffic regulation orders haven't come up in any of the discussions to date. And then Dawn contacted me today. I'll just read this and then I'll be done. She's had a conversation with Kate Brown, one of Somerset Council's traffic engineers. And given the number of areas that need addressing, they've suggested having a meeting of all the parties to try and work out how we can move forward with yellow line parking restriction requests, including clarifying possible process and costs if Taunton Town Council were able to financially assist. Dawn's view is there are a couple of areas in urgent need of a solution in her ward. I hope to hear back from Kate soon and look forward to the meeting where we can all discuss how to get the support needed for our communities. So I don't know whether that's something as part of this you also want to sort of
No,
endorse.
thank you.
endorse.
Thank you for that update. It's very interesting when that happens. Before I say anything, I'm going to bring in Simon. He's desperately holding his hand up, but I needed him
I was
to
going to
wait.
say, I've actually spoken with Dawn as well about areas within Comatro that require double yellows.
Mm.
And we, although I haven't had any letters from residents, we've spoken directly with residents during being out and about. And I raised it with Dawn, obviously, because they cover the area from a county point of view. And one thing I would think is worth investigating generally for this is that a lot of conversations, they seem to think, well, we've got to do X, Y, and Z, and there's this long process for getting double yellow lines put in. I don't think that's the case. I think there's probably a way of doing it much more quickly, cheaply, and
Efficiently.
efficiently. And that was generally the root of our discussion as well. There must be a way whereby we can group these things together and just write, today you're going to paint yellow lines there, and there, off you go.
Yeah, a couple of blokes done.
And if that's not the case, then I'm disappointed. But I would thought I'd bring it up as it's although we've got a specific example here. This is a general problem, I think.
Right, Connor.
I recommend one thing. There's lots of ways coming out because am I right in saying just up the road that leads you up to another busy road if you keep going out? There's loads of roads coming into Willerton Road, but what about if it was like a one-way system? That makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of like having so then that stops as many cars going down that road as well. I don't think it's best. Do you not?
No, I think it is two-way.
It is too.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It doesn't look like it should be. You're right. It looks but I think that all of the roads around there are two-way. The only place it's two-way is when you come out of the entrance next to the old police station. You're not allowed to turn. It's only a left turn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that's the only restriction.
Sorry. I remember at Cheddar Road where the health place is, they kept parking right up to the keep left sign and the buses couldn't get through. And sometimes they actually had to go the other side of the road to turn into Cheddar Road. It took us a long time, but we eventually got double yellow lines there. It's still always packed with, they said they didn't need much parking there, but now they all park on the road because it's more workers. But come on, they can put in the traffic regulation order, let people know that they're going to put them there. 2 blokes in a day could do 4, 5 roads. It's not rocket science. They got the paint, they got the rollers, they could do it. Just do the traffic regulation orders, and they know these roads are dangerous. They know there's dangerous parking. So just why don't they? I'm sorry, I'm a bandwagon. Just get their acting gear and listen to the people that live there, that suffer from this every day of their lives. So they said, oh, we got to do this, and we need Taunton Dean to. Oh, we need a letter from them. And this, no, you don't. Just get on and flipping do it. Your highways, you're in charge of it. Get on with it. Right, sorry, told you, bandwagon. And you know why. Anyway, I'm going to call in Ed and then Martin.
Thank you. I'm afraid I'm going to stop the bandwagon because in Norton they've tried to Norton Fitzwarren Parish Council along that main road that goes through the village. They've tried to put in double yellow lines, and they've sort of been told that it can be a bit of a mixed blessing because although it will clear the way for cars, it will increase the amount of cars that will sort of try and speed through. And then there is also there is, although it seems like unnecessary, there is a lot of kind of sort of consultation and bureaucracy they have to go through to make sure that it all fits in with national regulations and everything else. So I know that there's, it's tempting to see it as just as the one, one day job, but it does take a little while to make sure everything is correct. And that's my sort of concern with that.
I understand that, and the old biscuit of, oh, it's traffic calming and stop speed and everything. But if it's done right, so the right length of it is done, you've still got cars parking in the bit that they're allowed to. So that is your traffic calming. And then you get in the bit that's, if they park, it's dangerous for everyone else. So these are highway experts. Why can't they fix it and sort it out? I mean, I could do it on a bit of paper. It's just ludicrous. It's anything to drag it out and not do anything. And it's been like that for donkey's years. So I'm not just picking on any council or anything. It's been like it for donkey's years. So I'm sorry, just get on with it, sort it. Listen to the residents, work out what's best for the highways and the residents and for safety. That's what they do, but they don't do it. Right, Martin?
Just a quick one. I don't know if you're aware, but with a blue badge, you can park on a double yellow band or a single yellow band for up to 3 hours. If you really want to stop people parking, and there are a lot of blue badge holders, myself included, you would have to put loading restrictions on the curb as well. That means that nobody can stop there. It's like a clear way, and that might be important.
Just a bit of extra paint in it. I got a nice big brush, I can do it. Right, so Simon,
Just a quick one, just going, I know exactly where you're talking about in Norton, by the way, because I used to live over that way. And there's a difference, in my opinion, between something that's a nuisance to other drivers, which is Norton, and something that is a danger to pedestrians, which is this. Because actually the reason why everyone wants red, yellow lines in that point in Norton is because you constantly got to give way to traffic coming the other direction. There's no danger to pedestrians because no one, there's a pavement, no one crosses the road there. But certainly with this example and the example that I discussed with Dawn, you're talking about people parking on a right angle corner, and cars are having to go round the corner on the wrong side of a blind turn.
Yeah.
And that's why I think there's a fundamental difference in some of these examples, and that's where you need yellow lines. In Norton, you're right, it's traffic calming at the end of the day. It means people are doing 20, not 30, going through the village, essentially. But they're clear points of difference, but I just don't understand, and I'm sure the bureaucracy exists, but I don't understand why, if it's a genuine safety requirement, that there isn't some level of fast track to do it and then the paperwork afterwards.
a pot of yellow paint and a wide brush would be fine. Nobody would know the difference.
If you saw someone painting yellow lines, would you ask if they had permission to do it?
No.
Just watch them do it.
I'd watch them.
That's all right.
Ed, did you want to come in? I saw your hand up. Are you okay?
I was just going to say, I agree. It probably can be done quite quickly, but just that's the practicality of it.
Yeah, it's got to go through the motions. Marcus, you want to come back?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think they're all really good questions, and perhaps this suggested meeting with councillors Johnson and the people from the traffic highways team.
Yeah.
It'll be good to capture these and bring that to that meeting so we can get a bit more. Obviously, once I know when the date
Absolutely.
is, those
absolutely.
that are on this committee that are interested in taking part in that, obviously, I'll
Well,
let you know.
I'm going to propose Martin Strice because he's to do with communities, and traffic and transport is all to do with safety in the communities, isn't it? Just say yes, you can always refuse after. Oh, come on, you know a lot about community transport and safety and stuff. Come on, don't underestimate your knowledge.
What exactly are you asking me, Chair?
But if there's this meeting with the people in the community and also the local councillors, is just to be one of the ones from the town council. Come on. Just say, I'll think about it. That'll do.
All right, I'll think about it.
Yeah, think about it. Okay. Putting him on the spot. Right, we need to come to conclusion on this. So So this to consider writing the council to request additional parking restrictions. Now, what we've done is turned it around a bit, round about a bit, isn't it, to have a meeting? So can you just remind us what we've been
I think you
discussing
can-
for the
I
last
think you
10
can-
minutes?
I think you can propose to support councillor Garside's request to write to Somerset Council about the additional parking restrictions. If you wanted to also sort of endorse that a meeting be held with local councillors and the relevant
That's it.
team at
Yes,
Somerset, then
that's it, definitely. And Martin's right, yeah.
And if we-
Okay, Steve,
No, I was going to say, if
Simon.
we can actually in the letter propose that we try and group as many of these as we can into a
Areas,
single
yeah.
task in areas,
yeah,
so that rather than just discussing an individual instance, we discuss all the instances that everyone involved is aware of. Because like I say, I know, having spoken to Dawn,
yeah,
there's this one, there's a number in Comich Road, and they're all
Yeah.
within spitting distance, really.
absolutely. They could do them all together. And they could get all the nice hot paint, do it. I saved money, wouldn't it? Right, Ray.
Sorry, Chair, I couldn't find this funny. I asked for about 100 yards, and it took David Fothergill as leader of county council 2.5 years before we could get it in. Then they had to put it back up. The one thing that they need to have done is to prove that the cars are parking there. There's no photograph. You need photographs to prove it, which we've managed to do. Sorry, I just thought I'd say something.
At least nowadays people have got their mobile phones and you go ping, 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 ping. And it tells the time of day, what time they've parked on your photo and everything. So it's a lot easier nowadays. And I think I remember, and it was quite a few years ago when people weren't taking so many pickies on their phone, were they? Yeah, you had to get your camera out. Yeah. Okay, so that is what it is, what you just said. Okay, I'll propose that. Have I got a seconder for that? Oh, we've got a couple of seconders. What he just said.
to just read it back out as.
Let him just reiterate what it is.
So the recommendation is to approve writing to Somerset Council to request additional parking restrictions at Wilton Grove, Taunton, and endorsing a meeting that has been suggested with local councillors and the relevant team at the Unitary Council, and to group as many of these into a single TRO as possible. And obviously, we'll let councillors know as and when that comes forward.
That's it in a nutshell. I think they're sorted. Yeah. So as I said, I propose. Who seconded it? Or one of these two. All those in favour? Yep. Okay. Right. We're on to the very last bit, and then you can all go home and have your tea. It's number 8. It's our normal thing we have to do each meeting, and it's a submission of comments, strict feedback on behalf of the town council to notifications of planning applications in the area. And these are the ones that are feedback when it comes within the 21 days and there isn't a planning meeting before that runs out, and you get sent out what it is. You can make your comments, and then Marcus and Donna or whoever will then feed those comments back to the planning committee. So are you happy that we carry on doing that? All those in favour? Thank you. Yep, so I declare this meeting closed. So go and have your tea.